Hello YouTube and welcome to the next route learning video. On today's video we're going to be revisiting the South London network and we're going to be taking train 9 Mike 63, which is the 2044 London Overground service from Clapham Junction to Highbury and Islington, and we will be driving that as far as Surrey Quays, which is as far as this route will allow in Train Simulator. Along the way we will be calling at Wandsworth Road, Clapham High Street, Denmark Hill, Peckham Rye, Queen's Road Peckham, and finally Surrey Quays, which is a distance of around 7 miles. This is a custom created scenario which I've created specifically for this video, and indeed I am going to be making this scenario available on Steam Workshop, so please do check the description of this video for the link to the Steam Workshop download. I've actually tried to make a video on the South London network about once a month since it came out. This is the route which really helped my channel to be discovered, and in addition to that there's just such a variety of different routes and trains that you can take along here that I've just been trying to showcase them all to show you just how much you can get out of this route. Our attraction for the journey today is a Class 378 Capital Star electric multiple unit. The Class 378s were built by Bombardier Transportation and they've been in service since the 29th of July 2009, with a total of 4 or 5 coaches per train set and 57 trains built. They are all operated by London Overground. The total weight of each unit is 159.5 tonnes, and there is a power output of 800 horsepower per driving car, with 2 driving cars per unit. The Class 378/1, which we will be driving, is capable of running only off the 750 volt DC third rail system, but another variant which is included with the Class 378 pack, which is available for Train Simulator, is the Class 378/2, which also has the capability of running under the 25 kilovolt overhead AC system. Once in the cab of the Class 378, there's not a lot that we need to do to set up, so I'm just going to put the reversing handle into the forward position and then reset the AWS self-test sequence. And now that that's done, just to take a quick look at the controls, down here we have a combined traction and brake controller, which has a standard 3-step brake with a 4th step, which is the emergency setting. And going the other way, we also have 4 steps of power. Up here we have the speedometer, and indeed that shows that our maximum speed is 75 miles per hour with a red line by 75. However, we won't be able to get up to that today because the speed limits won't allow it. And then just to the right of that is the brake gauge, which indeed, if I now move the brake handle, you can see that the right hand needle moves, so the higher that is pointing, the harder the brakes are applied. When it's pointing towards the 3, that means that we're in step 3 of braking, and now if I reduce it you can see it's heading towards 0 now. And indeed 0 obviously means the brakes are released. The final thing that I'm going to do is open the windows. Anyone who's watched my previous videos will know if the train has a window which is openable, then I always will do, just because you can hear the train better and you can also hear the sound of the wind rushing past. So now we're just going to pan to a couple of cutaway shots just to show you the busyness here at Clapham Junction station and show you all of the trains which I've put in. In fact, I believe there's around 30 to 35 AI trains in this short scenario. Departing from Clapham Junction, the starting speed limit is 30 miles per hour, and we've got around 1 3/4 miles to go to the first stop, which is Wandsworth Road. Just to also mention that I have turned on the driver safety device, though I don't know if we'll hear it because I'll be moving the power handle quite a lot on this journey. A lot of people don't realise that the driver safety device has been implemented in the ElectroStars in Train Simulator. So to turn it on, you need to press Shift and numpad Enter, and then it will be activated. So now we've reached 30 miles per hour. I've idled the power to allow the train to coast. The speed limit won't be going up before our next stop, and indeed there will be a couple of reductions in the speed limit to come. In a moment we will be turning away from the main lines towards London Waterloo and London Victoria, just here, and we're going to start going downhill on a 1 in 44 down gradient. So I'm allowing the train to coast at this point because we will gain speed fairly quickly on this down gradient, and I may well need to use the brakes to control our speed. So we're now starting to go down on the 1 in 44 gradient just here. I'm just going to keep an eye on our speed as the needle climbs towards 30, which it is doing now. I'm now applying 1 step of braking just to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. In a moment we will be passing under the main lines to London Waterloo and Victoria just here, and at this point the gradient will be levelling out. I did slow down just slightly too much there, but I've released the brakes and our speed is climbing towards 30. So this first bridge are the main lines between London Waterloo and Windsor, with the second bridge just there being the main lines towards London Victoria. I'm now just going to give us 1 step of power because I feel we are losing a little too much speed. We're just now starting to go uphill on a 1 in 97 uphill gradient, so we do need to go between idle and step 1 of power to try and maintain our speed. This bridge just here is the second of 3 times at which we pass under the Brighton main line. So the first time was just after we passed under the Waterloo lines, and now this is the second time, and there will be a third time coming up in a moment, which will be the next bridge that we pass under, which will again be passing under the Brighton main line. The speed limit will shortly be dropping to 25 miles per hour, so I'm just looking out for a point now where we cross tracks onto the track next to us on the left hand side, and then just after that we should be seeing the 25 mile per hour speed board come up. I am going to apply the brakes just as we see the board. It's not the speed board you can see directly ahead of us. Just coming up now on the left hand side there, so I've just applied 1 step of braking, which has brought our speed down to 25 in time. I've now released the brakes and I'm allowing us to coast once again, and I will go back up to step 1 of power if we do lose too much speed. Coming up in a moment is a further speed drop down to 20 miles per hour, so I'm just looking out for that now, and I will apply the brakes as we see the board. We do have a single yellow signal at this point, which means we are cleared into Wandsworth Road station, but that the signal at the end of the platform is currently displaying a red aspect. You can now see the 20 mile per hour speed board just coming up, so I've just applied step 1 of braking, which has brought our speed down nicely, and so we're now doing 20 miles per hour. You can now see the platforms just ahead at Wandsworth Road station, and just as we enter the station we're actually going to start going uphill on a 1 in 90 gradient. I just left the brakes on a bit too long there and slowed down a bit too much, so I'm just giving us a tiny bit of power. Slight mistake there. The speed limit is also going up to 45 miles per hour as we enter the station. So as you can see, we're now passing the 45 board, and you can also see there's a gradient change just here as it starts going up. We do need to stop at the end of the platform here by the S-car sign, I believe it is, so there should be an S sign at the end and just before the red signal. Departing Wandsworth Road, the starting speed limit is 45 miles per hour, and we've got just over a third of a mile to go to the next stop, which is Clapham High Street. One of the things to remember when departing Wandsworth Road is that you are starting on a 1 in 90 uphill gradient, so you do just need to be careful not to roll back as you depart. There's a facing point coming up just ahead, at which point I'm going to idle the power and allow the train to coast. You can see we're just now on the facing point. And then just as the gradient levels in a moment, you're just seeing it now, so the gradient's just levelling. I'm now applying the brakes to bring us to a stop at Clapham High Street. We do need to stop once again at the end of the platform. Unfortunately, you can see a bug just here, which I'm not sure what's causing it, where we've got a mound of ballast. I had that on the practice runs on this journey as well. I have seen this bug in Train Simulator before, but I've never known what causes it. It is slightly annoying, that's for sure. Departing Clapham High Street, the starting speed limit is 45 miles per hour, though soon dropping to 30, and we've got around 2 miles to go to the next stop, which is Denmark Hill. Just after departing the station, we're now going uphill on a 1 in 96 up gradient. What I'm looking out for is the next signal, at which point I'm going to make sure that the power is in idle, as the speed limit will be dropping to 30 shortly after that. In fact, I'm idling the power now just before the signal, and then I'm going to apply the brakes for the upcoming 30 speed limit on the points coming up just here, just after the signal there. So our speed is now down to 30, in time for the 30 mile per hour speed limit. And now just going to go between idle and step 1 power to try and maintain us at around 30 miles per hour. In a short distance, the speed limit will be going back up to 45 once again. At this point, we're now crossing I believe it's the Chatham Main Line, which goes through Brixton. And Brixton Station is just down below us at this point. The speed limit is now going back up to 45 miles per hour, and we can accelerate at the rear of the board. You can see just coming up on the left now. So I'm now going to accelerate towards 45, but I'm going to idle the power and allow the train to coast at 40, as very shortly we're going to start going downhill on a 1 in 90 down gradient, and I want to ensure that I'm able to control the speed without needing to use too much braking. So we're just starting the down gradient now, as you probably just noticed the gradient change there, and we're going to be going downhill pretty much all of the way into Denmark Hill. You can now see the platforms at Denmark Hill just coming up in the distance, and I'm going to apply the brakes up to step 2 immediately as we pass this signal here. And at this point I may also need to use step 3 braking, just because of the downgrade that we are currently on. We do need to stop here at the end of the platform. Looks like I actually don't need to use step 3 braking, so I'm just cutting the braking back a little. Entering the platform at 25 miles per hour is a good speed. Departing Denmark Hill, the starting speed limit is 45 miles per hour, and we've got around 3/4 of a mile to go to the next stop, which is Peckham Rye. We do now have a warning for an upcoming 20 mile per hour speed limit, which is around 1/3 of a mile from the limit itself. I'm now going to idle the power and allow the train to coast as we reach 40 miles per hour. And I'm going to apply the brakes for the upcoming 20 mile per hour speed limit in a moment, just as we pass this speed board here which has a 30 on it, which I believe is for the diverging route. So I've now made a step 2 brake application, which should bring our speed down quite nicely. In fact, we can see the 20 mile per hour speed board just coming up, I believe. Just reduced to step 1 of braking and now back up to step 2. Now the brakes are released and we're doing 20 miles per hour. You can now see Peckham Rye just coming up just ahead. At Peckham Rye we do need to stop at the end of the platform. And as we're coming in at 20 miles per hour, we're already coming in at a slow speed which is very easy to come to a stop from. Departing Peckham Rye, the starting speed limit is 20 miles per hour, and we've got around 3/4 of a mile to go to the next stop, which is Queens Road, Peckham. As you can see, the speed limit here is just going up to 60 miles per hour, though we're not able to accelerate to that for a moment. The rear of the train will have cleared the board as we cross this facing point just here, and so now I'm going to accelerate up towards 60 miles per hour. We do now have a double yellow signal, and at this point is where I'm going to idle the power, and in a moment I'm going to apply the brakes for our stop. So I'm now making a step 2 brake application. At Queens Road, Peckham, we don't stop at the end of the platform, but actually towards this end of the platform, so I need to look out for a 4-car stop sign. So we do need to enter the platform at a lower speed to ensure that we can stop there. You can just see the, I think it's the platform mirror, just coming up on the right-hand side. So we should now be stopping in about the right place. Departing Queen's Road Peckham, the starting speed limit is 60 miles per hour, and we've got around 1.5 miles to go to the next and final stop for this video, which is Surrey Quays. As you can see, the signal ahead has changed from a single yellow to a flashing single yellow, which means that we are now cleared to turn off this line towards Surrey Quays, which we will be doing shortly after the next signal, which is currently displaying a single yellow aspect. Indeed, you can also see that there's a feather on there. The speed limit drops to 40 miles per hour as we cross over the point, so I'm not going to accelerate above 40 at this point, and in fact I've just shut off the power and I'm allowing the train to coast. But as it was a single yellow aspect just around here as we cross the point, I'm going to apply the brakes to drive with caution, assuming that the next signal is displaying a red aspect until we can see otherwise. As you can see, it has cleared to a double yellow aspect, but that does still mean that we need to drive with caution, as there is a red signal coming up just ahead. I've now shut off the power at just below 40 miles per hour, and I'm allowing the train to continue to coast at this point. You can now see that we have a single yellow signal just ahead, which is around 1/3 of a mile from the next signal, which should be displaying a red aspect. So I'm just going to apply the brakes at this point, also because we have a short section here which is down as steep as 1 in 39, which indeed will cause us to accelerate and will affect our braking ability. In fact, I'm just going to increase the braking slightly, and now you can see the red signal, which is going to be holding us up just ahead. So we're going to be waiting for another train. I've programmed some slight delays into this scenario, and we're going to be waiting for another train just to cross in front of us, following our path, which is also stopping at Surrey Quays. So I've now brought our speed right down. In a moment I'm going to release the brakes, and we're just going to gradually crawl towards the signal. You can now see the train which is holding us up just passing just ahead. So at this point I'm now going to stop and wait until the signal clears, which should be in a moment, and then we will be cleared through the next signal section to one more signal which is guarding the platform at Surrey Quays, and we will likely again have to stop at that signal until Surrey Quays platform is clear. So in a moment this signal should be clearing to a single yellow aspect, and we're just waiting for that now. So the signal has now cleared, and I'm now going to bring our speed up, but drive with caution, always assuming that the next signal is red. In a moment the speed limit will be dropping down to 30 miles per hour as we cross a point just ahead. And then just after that the gradient will be going down at 1 in 37, so we do definitely have to drive with caution, because it's very easy for the train to roll away with us even on this very short section. In fact, I'm now applying the brakes up to step 2 to bring our speed down. In fact, I'm going to go to step 3 just for a moment, because I feel we are approaching the signal just a bit too quick. And once again, we're just going to crawl towards the signal, always in the hope that it clears before we have to completely stop. I don't think it will. I think we are going to have to stop before it will clear. And there we are. We're once again stopped at the red signal, just waiting for the platform at Surrey Quays. Something that I'd like to try and implement more into my videos is in fact more red signals than we currently see. I've often tried to avoid them because I'm trying to do something that everyone can replicate, and it's when you're driving a different scenario to one that I am, maybe on the same path, you may well not get the red signals that I do, which is why I don't include them so much. But in future videos, especially if they're going to go on Steam Workshop so people can download the video for themselves, download the scenario for themselves, so that they can try it out, then I'm far more likely to include adverse signals, because I do think it makes things a bit more interesting. So as you saw, the signal cleared to a single yellow aspect, and you can now see the platform at Surrey Quays just coming up. So I'm not going above 25 miles per hour, and now I'm going to apply the brakes as we enter the platform. We do need to stop once again at the end of the platform by the S sign. And so here we are, arrival at Surrey Quays. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope that you have enjoyed it. Please don't forget that you can find me on Facebook for the latest updates. And the link for that is in the description of this video. Also, if you value the work that I do and would like to sponsor me towards the cost of new equipment or DLC, then please visit my Patreon page for further information. Again, the link for that is in the description of this video. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Once again, thank you for watching.